Hey, it's Sam here, and today I'm going to explain my bulking diet. So today is a rest day. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to explain that as I've referred to it in some recent videos. Hopefully what you can take away from this is a few ideas about the amount that you'd need to eat on a serious bulk if you're already big, or the kinds of foods that I would eat, the kind of foods that I would eat at certain times of the day, and how I'd manage it strategically for a meal prep so it doesn't interfere with everything else I've got going on, what I'd eat around the training, and how to make it kind of cost effective altogether. So I'm going to go through it meal by meal. Hopefully you'll pick up some of those things. If you've got any questions about it, drop it in the comments. If you find this interesting, remember to subscribe and check out my Instagram at Physique Philosopher as well. So first thing when I get up is a pint of water. When you wake up, you're usually mildly dehydrated, and being well hydrated is a requirement of most of the body functions, and I want everything working from the start of each day. So the first thing is the pint of water. Once that's settled down, after about half an hour, it's meal one. Meal one is six pieces of toast, and I use the whole grain bread because I find that without the this is the bakery bread, by the way, the stuff that's made fresh. I find with the shelf stuff that's there to last for a couple of weeks, there's too many extra chemicals and preservatives in it, and it doesn't suit me so well. So it's the bakery bread, six pieces toast, and it'll be three whole eggs with half a carton of egg white mixed in. So the reason behind this is I don't like to have too many fats and too many carbohydrates within the same meal. So I want to limit the fat in the first meal because there was the carbohydrate with the bakery bread. So it's mostly protein carbohydrate meal here. It's just having three yolks in that mix to make it palatable and not, just scrambled egg white, which just kind of gets stuck in the pan and everything like that. So it'll be have the toast, and then I'll crack the three eggs and then pour in half a bottle of extra egg white, whisk that all up, and it basically makes a thinner mix, scramble that, and that's meal one. The next two meals can be cooked together and are basically the same. It's the same meal repeated twice, but it's just chicken and rice. So I use the white rice, the jasmine rice. I find that more palatable, the sticky kind of texture. And with white rice, you don't get the husk that makes it harder to digest, which you get with the brown rice. And I find of all the grains and carbohydrates, rice in general, when you're eating in quantity, is easier. So it's the rice for that reason, and then the chicken because it goes well with it, and I can mix up the flavours with different seasonings. So what I have is a whole kilo box. This is uncooked weights, by the way. I'll have a kilo box of chicken, and I'll have a single pack of rice, which I believe is 400 grams uncooked weight. And I can either cook it all in one go and then, portion it out for 2 or 3 meals for the day, or I can cook all of the rice and do half the chicken so I get it fresh if I'm going to be in the house all day, working from home, and have it, cooked fresh rather than reheated or whatever. So I've got both options there. And that means if I am out for the day, I can just eat one before I go, or pack both, or eat a third of it and pack two. But it's going to be split into 2 or 3 meals. If it's going to be split into 3 meals, it's going to be like a third of that pack of the rice. And yeah, you can work this out. Or, by the chicken, it's going to be, you know, three 333 grams per portion if it's by thirds, or 500 grams if it's by half and half. But it's a kilo pack for the day. And I cook these, whether it's separately or all together, with the rice cooker and the air fryer, because that means that I don't have to keep an eye on it while it's doing. I could put that on and it's done in 15 minutes while I'm preparing everything else for the day, and then round it up. And that's the next 2 to 3 meals. Then I usually train in the evening. Before I train, I make sure that I've drunk enough water. That massively increases performance to not be dehydrated again at that stage. By the way, with all of the water, I'll have it not within half an hour of the meal. So it'll be a half-hour gap between the last water and the next meal, or between the last meal and the next water, because if you have loads of water going through, it can dilute your digestive juices, which is imperative for digesting all the protein that's going through, and you don't want to interfere with that. So I do leave a gap between the drinks and the meals. So that's those, and then straight after the workout, it's one that's going to be really quick to prep. So if I'm in a massive rush, I might switch it out for a protein shake and have the whey isolate and some kind of some kind of carbohydrate there, and I'll have that at the gym and they'll make it for me. But more typically, I'll come straight home and I'll cook up 5 scoops of cream of rice, just done with the kettle water, and boil a load of white fish. I choose the white fish because it's extremely lean protein, it's going to get digested quickly, as well as the cream of rice being digested extremely quickly to go straight through to begin recovery, supplying the energy and the amino acids straight after that workout. So I'll take a ½ kilo bag of white fish and boil that, and then mix up the cream of rice while that's doing, and that takes no more than 10 minutes to prep. And it works really well with the white fish because if you boil it, it takes all the flavour. I mean, it's pretty flavourless anyway, but it takes all of the flavour out, and then you just mush it up and put it in with the cream of rice, and the only flavour you've got in this kind of blend is whatever flavour cream of rice that you picked, and that's the post-workout meal. Sometimes during the workout, if it's going to be an extra long workout, I use cyclic dextrin, the carbohydrate drink, during the workout, but that's it. But no extra EAAs or BCAAs, because I've got so much protein throughout the day that all of the essential amino acids are fully there. Okay, so that's the next one after workout, and then the final evening meal is a steak and 6 eggs scrambled. So these are whole eggs, and I can basically scramble them quickly while the steak's frying, which is 4 minutes preparation time total. Usually go for a ribeye cut, and this meal is, so you'll notice that this was the fat and protein mix meal, not the carbohydrate protein mix, which was the previous 3 or 4 meals. And that's put in as the last meal of the day because something with fat in the meal will digest more slowly, fat and protein combo, and that's going to feed me basically overnight, and then the whole cycle of my nutrition program starts again from the next morning, fix dehydration and go again, and then it's obviously the same sequence. Now I hope that makes sense. It's not too expensive, chicken's not too bad, rice. Cream of rice you can actually make your own. I recently learned if you grind up rice granules, you can make it, or you can just get the baby rice, is pretty much equivalent, and you can work that out. Eggs pretty cheap. The most expensive ingredient in the whole thing is the steak, but I can switch that out for rump steak if I didn't want to have the ribeye, but I particularly like the ribeye. But I'm basically going for a slightly fattier cut on that one with the last meal, and it's got the fat with the 6 eggs in there. So that's the whole system. And because I am off season and it's a growing thing, I can overeat, so I can have some cheat meals like in between. So socially, I'll just fit those in as I go. If I want to create variety, I basically use a different seasoning on the chicken like each day, so I can season that and put it in the air fryer and then leave it. You can also make the rice different flavors if you crumble up a stock cube and put it in with the rice in your rice cooker. It makes it all whatever flavor, so you could get a whole bunch of stock cubes and experiment with different flavors with your rice. So that's enough variety there for me, that's fine. If you do want interchangeables, the white fish, if you found that plain and you had a bit more cooking time, you could go slightly fattier on it and have something like sea bream. If you wanted to go a little bit different on the eggs, you could cook them in a different fashion, either do boiled eggs or poached, or however you prefer, instead of the scrambled, with the toast. And it's a bulking thing, you can have any kind of spread on it, it's not going to make too much difference. But as long as it's roughly baselined, I have that as that, and I can check that things are changing in terms of my measurements and my body weight week by week, which is what I do. Things are moving forwards at the moment, so it can stick as it is at the moment. What I will do if things stall is reimagine that diet and make some small changes and then check again a week from there, and that's how I proceed. So this diet would be far too much food for most people. Another day perhaps, or if you really want me to, I can work out the numbers on it and provide those and some of the calculations that could take the same format and remake it for someone of a lower body weight. That's something that I could do in a future video if you're interested. But generally, that kind of setup and exactly that amount would be no use for cutting. So this is all done in phases. My cutting diet will be something to explain another time. But when I do cutting, I'm basically severely reduce the carbohydrates put them in just after the workout, or have, you know, several day runs of zero carbohydrate and maybe just green vegetables with the animal foods, the meat, fish and eggs, and that's how I do. So probably another thing you've observed in that is that it's all whole foods. There's not an awful lot of supplements going on. Well, not really any actually, except that in this kind of phase I'm consuming creatine as well in one of my drinks, but that's it. No BCAAs or EAAs. I avoid pre-workouts as well because they can disturb my sleep, so I tend to steer clear of that. It's only really on some training days the cyclic dextrin and the protein shakes where I'm in a particular rush, but that's only once a week maximum, and that'll be a double or triple scooper instead of the whitefish meal. But it's really not enough. It's going to be a lot less than the amount of protein that I get with the half-kilo of whitefish. So that's how it all stacks up. Mostly, or almost entirely whole foods. Focusing really on nutrient density by making sure to get the eggs and the red meat in there. I do eat organ meats about once a week. I find that that's enough to notice a difference. I find that it's a little bit gross to eat more than that, and you can overdo it with vitamin A, so I don't do more than that. But with the whole eggs and the red meat, it's good. I can sometimes switch in for fattier fish or switch that in for a breakfast, but really not too much. Things are working very well with this diet as it is. I hope all of that makes sense. I hope you understand some of the concepts there. I've referred to it in previous videos, talking about which macronutrients to combine at what times, and there's an element of that going on here, but it's stricter when I get into a pre-contest or cutting down regime. Hopefully all of that makes sense, but do ask any questions in the comments, and I'll do more videos on nutrition as well. Perfect diet for now. I'm growing loads. This is the journey to 300 pounds, and we're slowly getting there, and I look forward to throwing up another workout probably tomorrow. Cheers.